Good evening.
Hi. Nice.
Thanks for your time. So you're on the other side of this. I want to know, how easy is it to live and work in the US, especially with the messages we're hearing on this side about how Donald Trump just doesn't want any foreigners in his country?
Well, that's a little bit skewed. There are certain types of foreigners he doesn't want. He certainly is making immigration across the board a lot tougher. It has been increasing the level of scrutiny over at least the last 4 years, I would say. But under the Trump administration, it's got a lot harder across the board.
So how many South Africans, or why are you seeing South Africans coming over to the US? Do you deal with a lot of South Africans wanting to come there?
It's a fair share of my practice. It's not the major part of my practice is South Africans. But a lot of people are looking at the future for their children as opposed to them wanting to leave, saying that it will be better opportunities for their children. Some people, just business, economic-wise, they're saying that there's more opportunities overseas for them. But generally, the force behind moving to America is, they're saying, education and better opportunities for their children.
And do they find that there? Is it the land of opportunity, or, does it come with its own fair share of, we've seen the racism, just like we have it here. We've also seen the economic difficulty. We've seen also the danger, the crime might be a little different in terms of you never know when you're going to get bombed or
Right.
when someone's going to open fire on a classroom of children.
Absolutely. So I think it is the land of the American dream, per se. It's not as easy as it used to be to get that, but I think if you work hard, you're honest, you're good, you have good karma, then there are a lot of opportunities. Having said that, it's no utopia. There's no perfect place in the world that you can say, okay, well, if you move from South Africa, you're now living in the perfect place with no problems. We do have problems, and it is getting tougher to immigrate. And just like everywhere else, we have our different types of crime or different strains of violence, but nonetheless, we do have some violence.
And do you see a lot of, especially South Africans, and I know they make up a small number of the cases you deal, but do you see a lot of them wanting to come back to South Africa after a little while? Is it too tough to live on that side?
It can be. In some cases, I see people who've really done really well in America coming back to South Africa and retiring. They now have a U.S. passport, so they say, well, if things went bad, we could always go back to America. I then do see clients or people I know who have not been successful in setting up their businesses and complying with strict immigration laws that are also require an overhaul, and they're saying this is just too tough to continue my business. I'm better off in South Africa, where I'm living a much better quality of life economically than struggling in America.
So who would make it in the US? I mean, what are the skills that they need from us here in South Africa? Because you want to think, like, what could we possibly offer the US where everything happens, or most things happen?
Well, we don't really have a shortage of skills list like some other countries like Australia. If you've got certain qualifications, you don't need a job to come in, you just need to be qualified. We have very few things on a skill list, like physiotherapists are in short supply.
Okay.
So that's some random thing. But generally, if you're afforded a job or you have enough money to immigrate and start a business, it's a very entrepreneurial climate. So if you work hard, you can do well, or even if you don't do well, you can survive comfortably if you work hard.
Are there particular parts of the US, particular areas or states in the US where we might do better than others?
It depends on skills. In the farming areas, there's a lot of farmers or skilled agricultural workers that go. Where it's really cold, like Minnesota, where there's lots of snow and we're not used to it, and it's harder to find labor there. And then just across the board, across the United States, it's just a matter of opportunity.
And the process itself, you said it is tedious, it's gotten more difficult as well to actually go through the process. What could it take on average? I mean, if I start my application today, can I expect in 6 months? Can I expect in 2 years maybe to go? How long on average?
That's a great question. It depends on the category. So if you're sponsored by your spouse, who's a U.S. citizen, it will take about a year. Oh. If you're sponsoring your sibling and you're from South Africa, it's going to take about 13 years.
Okay, and if you have no one there,
and if
it might never happen.
And if you were from the Philippines, it will be 25 years.
Wow.
So that's long. In terms of a job offer for a temporary visa, we can apply in April for a start date of October for a professional visa. For a non-professional, about 6 months for a temporary visa. And for a green card, somewhere around 2 to 3 years.
And how much money on average would that take?
Again, it depends on the visa, but for an H-1B professional visa, you're looking at it with filing fees around $6,000. For a green card, you're looking at $12,000 upwards if it's a job offer.
In dollars?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, scratch that now from your bucket list, I suppose. Thanks.
We also have a $500,000 investor visa.
Oh, well, that's okay. Thanks. I don't think I'll ever get there. Thanks very much, Karen Lee.
You're welcome.
Pollock. She's an immigration attorney in the U.S., helping those who, I suppose, can afford to go or have someone on that side get on over there.